Season's greetings, everybody, and welcome to a very special first episode of Reviews in Review. This is a new show where we take all of the games that IGN recently reviewed and wrap them up and give you guys the TLDR so you know what you should or shouldn't spend your hard-earned holiday gift cards on, and also to give you something to argue about and make fun of us for in the comments. And of course, you can find the full reviews in the description below, which have plenty more info, but because I know you're in a hurry, we're gonna go through this real quick and just tell you what's good, what's not, what's somewhere in between. Anyway, let's get started at the bottom. The Gangland RTS/management simulation Empire of Sin got a 4 out of 10 from John Bolding. He loved what it was attempting, especially its revival of Jagged Alliance 2's relationship system, but was less impressed with its execution. John summed it up by saying, Empire of Sin's criminal management sim and turn-based tactical combat combo sounds brilliant on paper, but it completely fails to live up to its aspirations due to major imbalances and bugs, and that it's just not worth your time unless it gets a massive overhaul.
I'm gonna break your face in.
Faring slightly better, but still falling squarely in the mediocre section of our totally not scientific review scale was Twin Mirror, a story-driven investigation game from the creators of Life is Strange. That earned a 5 out of 10 from Tristan Ogilvy, who described it as a frustratingly uneven adventure that felt slow-paced despite ending too quickly. He thought its wide cast of characters lacked depth, and that it had the habit of presenting you with crimes to investigate but not giving you much of a role in solving them. However, Tristan was pleasantly surprised at Twin Mirror's reverence to Pac-Man, going so far as to include a fully playable arcade cabinet in one area, which is one feature that none of the other games on this list can claim. Medal of Honor Above and Beyond managed to score Above and Beyond a 5 out of 10, but just barely. Gabriel Moss thought the VR World War II shooter was just okay, scoring it a 6 out of 10 and saying the single player and survival modes are enjoyable as a way to experience World War II battles in VR, but that they don't do much mechanically to stand out. And considering that it requires an RTX 2080 to run it at all, that's pretty underwhelming. However, he praised the documentary component, which features interviews with World War II veterans and VR tours of historic locations, so it sounds like this might be a bigger hit with history buffs than FPS fans. Too bad they can't experience it without a high-end graphics card.
Lieutenant, you took a direct hit.
Immortals Fenyx Rising was reviewed by Cam Shea, who thought Ubisoft's colorful new open-world adventure was good, scoring it a 7 out of 10. Cam praised its gorgeous world filled with mythological beasts and Greek deities, satisfying combat, and its lighthearted tone. He said that seeing Phoenix's story through to the end was a treat, but that Immortals' Achilles' heel was its puzzles, which felt more like going through the motions than an actual challenge. So it seems like this could be good for younger players, or maybe people who like easy puzzles because they make you feel like a super genius.
We all have our vices.
Anyway, speaking of big worlds filled with mythical beasties, World of Warcraft got a big, huge expansion with Shadowlands, which Leanna Hafer scored an 8 out of 10 because she thought it was great out of 10. Sorry. She said, the 10 levels you'll spend getting to know the Shadowlands definitely live up to the standard of quality I expect from Blizzard in terms of zone design, music, and affecting character moments. And at max level, this is probably the most compelling World of Warcraft's beckoning call to stick around has ever been, and that it's up there with Legion and Wrath of the Lich King. However, despite Shadowlands' efforts to reinvent the endgame formula, our reviewer wasn't sure it does quite enough to justify a subscription between story drops in major patches. Another game that scored an 8 out of 10 this month was Haven, an RPG about a couple of space lovers exploring a distant planet together while also navigating the ups and downs that every couple deals with. Reviewer Kyle Campbell adored Haven's unique premise, praising the way the relationship between its protagonists was a gameplay mechanic rather than just part of the story. However, he wasn't too fond of some of the chores Haven had these protagonists doing, adding, were it not for soul-crushingly tedious rust cleaning and hillside foraging taking up so much of the campaign's runtime, Haven might have cemented itself as an all-time great RPG. That said, 8 out of 10 is certainly not bad. One of the best received games this month is Call of the Sea, which received a 9 out of 10. The first-person narrative puzzle game left reviewer Simon Carty with no shortage of nice things to say, such as, through engaging Myst-style puzzles and a captivating story, Call of the Sea triumphs in bringing its island alive, along with the characters that have explored it, and that if you're after a fun but emotionally affecting adventure, Call of the Sea delivers, and that the biggest of its very minor annoyances was a slow movement speed. Who knows, maybe that's a safety thing. There's no running by the pool, maybe the same applies to the sea as well. Now, I suppose we should address the elephant in the room. You know, the elephant that doesn't have any of its textures loaded, and it's stuck in a T-pose, and it's clipping through the wall because the room you're in was built in 2013, and its hardware is too old to properly handle elephants inside it. That's right, I'm talking about Cyberpunk 2077. IGN's Tom Marks played this ridiculously highly anticipated game on a thoroughly spec'd out, big, beefy gaming PC with a brand new RTX 3080, and he had a great time, calling it a truly remarkable RPG that throws us into a beautiful, dense cityscape and offers a staggering amount of flexibility in how we choose to explore it. Tom noted that he encountered a significant amount of visual bugs, but overall, he loved his experience and scored it a 9 out of 10. Of course, as you're probably well aware, because it's all the internet has been able to talk about for quite some time, your experience may vary depending on what you do your gaming on. While Cyberpunk 2077 seems to play nice with spec'd out gaming rigs, the same can't be said for older game consoles. IGN's Destin Legary reevaluated Cyberpunk running on a base model PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and even though he loves it as much as Tom does on the PC, he said that the base console version performs so poorly that it makes combat, driving, and what is otherwise a mastercraft of storytelling legitimately difficult to look at. The slideshow frame rate literally made him nauseated, and he had no choice but to score it a 4 out of 10, flat out saying, please don't play Cyberpunk 2077 on a base Xbox One or PS4. It is a shockingly bad way to experience what is a fantastic RPG on better hardware. Meanwhile, Cyberpunk 2077's developer CD Projekt Red issued a public apology promising updates in January and February that will patch some of the many problems. They also said you could get a refund if you aren't happy with its performance, but apparently they didn't run that by Sony or any retail store because neither of those will give you a refund if you've correction. Sony issued a statement saying they will be giving refunds for Cyberpunk 2077, and also they're taking it off the PlayStation Store until further notice. Shigeru Miyamoto famously said, "A delayed game is eventually good, but a rushed game is forever bad." That was before games could be patched every other day, so Cyberpunk might eventually be good on all platforms, but the day one experience has left millions of players bitter and disappointed, and that's kind of the thing about first impressions, you really only get to make one. Anyway, speaking of first impressions, what did you make of the first episode of Reviews in Review? Did you like it? Was it terrible? Were there any game-breaking bugs that we should patch out? Do you want a full refund on this completely free video product? Let us know in the comments, and you know, if you want to give it a score on the IGN scale, you can't do that yet because it's only in early access and it's a beta, so you can't score it or review it just quite yet. In any case, I'll see you next time, unless everyone hates this video, in which case, goodbye forever. Either way, thank you for watching, and for everything video games, something, subscribe, IGN.